Hey, it's Dave Brown here, host of Now with Dave Brown on AMI. Check out this latest highlight from the show. The 8th annual Real Abilities Film Festival is returning to Toronto from May 11th to the 19th. The festival showcases movies by and about deaf and disability communities across the globe. One of the festival's feature films is by our very own entertainment critic, Michael McNeely. His film Advocacy Club will have a virtual screening at the festival. Let's take a sneak peek at the film.
An older woman signs.
When I had children, I could see enough to go out with my cane, and I could use my vision to know where I was going. But now that I'm fully blind, I can't go out by myself. I think it stopped around 19.
She stops and thinks for a moment.
I think when I was 30 years old. Maybe 1988, I stopped going out by myself.
The sun's glare obscures cars and pedestrians filling a street.
My husband said, "No, it's not safe for you to go outside. What if you miss something? You have to stop this. I don't want you to get hit by a car." And so I said, "Okay, I agree." And that was that. I feel that it has robbed me of my independence.
Pictures show Michael growing up.
1988 was the year I was born. I can't imagine not being able to be by myself outdoors. But I do realize that I have privilege. Everybody who is deaf-blind is different. I hope that Barbara doesn't feel like she has missed out a lot in life.
One photo shows him in a boat holding an oar across his lap.
I feel that Barbara is still independent in a lot of ways, even if that's not what we think about independence as being.
Sun shines through trees in a forest.
What does independence mean to you? Does it mean the ability to go out whenever you want? What does it mean to feel safe outdoors?
So you know Michael McNeely as our entertainment critic. Well, he's the director and the producer of Advocacy Club. Alex Smythe had a chance to catch up with Michael to learn more about it.
Hey, Michael, congrats on your film. This must be just a huge weight and excitement for you.
Well, thank you very much. I think it's actually a fun fact, but you inspired me to do it with your documentary Sound in Sight and working with you all those years ago. I wanted to talk about deafblindness. I wanted to show other people's challenges and successes with deafblindness, like you did with your hearing loss.
Well, thank you. Like, I'm glad I inspired you to take that journey. So, like, how did this documentary then come together after that first spark of inspiration on our initial conversation?
Well, so I moved to Toronto in 2013, and one of my first positions was working at the Canadian Hearing Care Centre, which is in Toronto at 210 Impress Avenue. And I was working as an advocacy instructor. And one of the things that we did is that we had a club that would meet once a month. And deafblind individuals were invited to attend and talk about any issues that they had, or just talk about their day. And what we discovered was that it was such a refreshing aspect to be able to talk to each other about challenges that we had in our day-to-day lives. So that's really where this documentary started to come forward, because as you may know, lots of people with disabilities often live in isolation, and especially with communication challenges, we don't get the opportunities to talk to one another as much as we should. So sometimes we feel like our challenges are our own.
And you often talk about barriers in films and just, those kind of issues that pop up. So what was it like for you to take on the role, become a filmmaker yourself, and then bring this all together?
I sometimes don't even know how I did it in the first place. I know that I was working on it almost every week. It was a project that was ongoing since 2017. I didn't know that I was capable of making a film until I made one. And then there was that, I'm here let's do it, let's get this done kind of mentality. As you probably know, as you probably know from Sound Insight, I studied in Sound Insight. I tried to major in film studies in 26 when I went to Queen's University, and I just couldn't make it in because they didn't provide enough captioning. Ironically, though, most of the posters at my parents' place are films that were in that first year course that I did see at home, but they just couldn't provide the captioning at school. So I always felt like an imposter. I still do. I can't lie about that. I hope that I can continue making movies, but I still feel like there's a lot that I didn't learn from not going to film school. But I know that's it's just a thought in my head. It's not reality, because most people don't even go to film school, I think.
Well, and as you know from all the great classic films that have been out there, that's 100% true. I'm curious for you, though, in your experience in making the film, what were some of the challenges that you experienced and encountered?
One of the challenges is just learning about, the conventions of making films. I think, first of all, it's important to use the same camera. It's important to use the same microphone, as Bruce probably knows, and Andrika and all our wonderful crew. It's just important to use the same equipment for consistency. I think when we were just starting out, we didn't have a lot of money. And so we were just borrowing different kinds of equipment to get going. And for the next project, we would just need to rent something and stick with that. I think another challenge was, as you know, people who support deafblind people are called interveners. So we had to get the interveners on board with the documentary. And I sort of had to convince them that they wouldn't be spoken of in a bad way in order to get them interested in helping with this film, which was kind of a challenge because it was within the deafblind people that we were after, so it shouldn't matter if the interveners supported it or not, but it didn't matter because in terms of the power imbalance. So I'm hoping that everyone is happy with this film, and I'm hoping that we can still do hard-reaching topics about the deafblind community going forward. Because one of the challenges that's facing the deafblind community is the limited amount of hours that people have with their interveners. So how do you talk about the limited hours without mentioning that maybe the interveners could be providing more work? That's a tough one. But those are two of the main challenges I had. Another challenge, if I can, is just when you film something, it doesn't come with subtitles automatically. So sometimes I would film something and then I just had no idea what was being said. And so I couldn't really edit at that time. So I had a wonderful person, Carolyn, who transcribed the footage for me.
And that's phenomenal, and that's working within your needs, your skill set, and still being able to take ownership and be able to take control of the film. You mentioned about the interveners. As part of this film, you actually had, and the focus has always been on accessibility, and you had a director of accessibility for the film. Like, who did you work with, and what did their role look like during the production?
His name is Johnny Spencer, or John G. Dales. I think that's his legal name now because I got married halfway through shooting the film, which is always a great thing. Johnny is a great friend of mine, and the role came about organically because, as I mentioned, we were running into different accessibility challenges. And we needed someone who would just focus on the resolution of those challenges. I think it's important that we remember that going forward, all films should have accessibility coordination, even if it's not just a person. It should be thought about and not as an afterthought. Because if it's an afterthought, the accessibility will not be great. So we were always thinking about accessibility throughout since the beginning of this project. And so, for example, the project has intermissions which may seem weird to some people, but I believe it is important because it allows you to stop the film and to take a break, take a biology break if you need to, or just de-stress, and talk with your support people and maybe ask them questions about clarification, or just take a break. And this kind of idea came about from watching my parents' old ASL tapes, because they always had a break. They always had to take a break and fill out this assignment. And I didn't have the assignment, but I had the break, obviously, on my VHS. So I just wanted to give that experience to everyone. We have hard-coded subtitles, and we also have what Johnny calls descriptive narration. And is more or less descriptive audio as we understand it, but is more about storytelling and making sure that the audience doesn't feel left out. I'm just really hopeful that people can see that these features were not expensive. They just required foresight and planning ahead of time. I really don't like it when people say that it's too expensive to make films accessible, so I try to put a penny to where my mouth was.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important to call out that you've dealt with that so long. Oh, well, it can't be accessible. It's too expensive. No, you can do it if you just have the intention to do it. Now, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about what you really enjoyed. What was your favorite part, the most enjoyable part of this whole process?
But the most enjoyable part is getting to know everyone that helped on the film. Johnny and Leslie, who is our wonderful editor for the film and actually works with Marvel and DC films. Just everyone gave it their all. Everyone saw that this project was worth it. And I even if I'm the director, I know that I wouldn't be here without everyone that supported me in this endeavor. And so I think it's just those low-key moments where you get to relax and you get to say, hey, we did something. And at the end of the day, that's what we have. And so I think that's the best part of filming for me, is just enjoying the time with these professionals that I was able to work with and collaborate with.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. How does it feel to finally wrap up the project and put it out there so others can now enjoy it too?
I'm still a perfectionist, so I would like to go back to the editing room and do some more of it. But I've been told that's not feasible and I should let things go. So it's bittersweet to be done because it's something that we've been working on for so long, but I'm excited to start my new project and I'm excited to, share this with the rest of the world. I particularly only wanted to get into the hands of people with disabilities, especially people who are deafblind, but also other people with disabilities. So I'm offering the film for free to anybody with a disability or anybody who's an ally, because I don't believe in imposing a financial barrier for people to watch this film. So I think your next question is about where to get information about the film. So I will just spoil it for you. And you can get information from www.advocacyclubfilm.com, which is a website that I spent too long trying to make happen. But at that website, you can always email me through the contact form and I'll be able to send you a copy of the film. But also the film is playing at Really Billy's, which should not be missed. And that's on May 15th at 3 p.m. virtually for 72 hours. So I hope that's enough time to take your breaks.
Absolutely. Michael, thank you so much. And now you can add the title of filmmaker along with film critic, film reviewer, and all your other titles. Congratulations again. This is a huge accomplishment.
Thank you so much. I'm glad I got the opportunity to close the circle and tell you how much you inspired me. And hopefully we'll be able to work together again.
Absolutely. Thanks, Michael.
You know Alex Smythe and you know Michael McNeely. That was their conversation about Michael's film, The Advocacy Club. You can learn more about the movie by visiting advocacyclubfilm.com. And Michael mentioned that the film will have a virtual screening at the Real Abilities Film Festival on May 15th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. It will be available to access for 72 hours. So be sure to visit raffto.ca to get your tickets. That's raffto.ca to get your tickets. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI-TV or download the podcasts wherever you listen. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI-TV or download the podcasts wherever you listen.